Thank you guys for coming back out at this midday update. We are currently over 200 acres and it will grow. There is no doubt. This is a complex fire exhibiting active fire behavior that is not conducive for a ground attack. The terrain doesn't allow for it. The good news is that we have a large air support dropping fire retardant and 4 helicopters. They're dropping water on the fire as we speak. This is a huge point of celebration for us from this morning's press conference when it looked like it was going to be tough for us to get some air support here, but we got it. The 4 helicopters are getting the water from Chatfield Reservoir, and Colorado Parks and Wildlife has closed Chatfield Reservoir to recreational activity today for this ability for the. Do we want to pick that up? The duct tape said it's too hot.
Of course, that was mine.
Is Chatfield acceptable for photographers who want to photograph?
I don't know. I would think. Yeah. Oh. Chatfield Reservoir is closed today let's go again. Chatfield Reservoir is closed today for water activity, so the 4 helicopters can go in and out, refilling their buckets with water and not have a safety issue with people out skiing and fishing. Firefighters are working hard to keep the fire out of the neighborhoods, and so far they've been successful. It's all been in the open land. No structures have been lost. We've had no injuries. If it does get into the neighborhoods, we will go from trying to suppress the fire to protecting the structures. So that's where we're at with that. Dakota Ridge High School Evacuation Center has grown in attendance. We have over 50 people there, and 7 or 8 dogs and cats are there. We encourage people to use the evacuation center there in the gym, and they are encouraged to bring their cats and dogs. If they do, they're asked to bring a leash and a crate if they have one for their animals. The larger animals have been pretty active going to Jeffco Fairgrounds. We've had cows, donkeys, horses, sheep, geese, and I think there might even be a pig in there. So people are welcome to bring those animals there as well. So any questions I can answer for you?
You talked about going from suppression to protection in the neighborhoods. How far is the most aggressive fire line from the neighborhoods now, and which neighborhood?
I will be very blunt. Every neighborhood in this facility is at risk. This fire is not an easy fight. The terrain is treacherous. It is very steep. As we talked this morning, there's just like you have in a mountain, there's debris, there's fallen trees, there's all the things that the firefighters have to fight, but it is really steep and it's loose and it's rocky. And there's also Rattlesnake Gulch that's in the middle of this, and it's not called that to be a cute name. It's because it is prone to have a large population of rattlesnakes. So you have that activity that the firefighters have to look for as well. Every neighborhood in there is in a situation that we need to get this fire out. So there's not one per se that is in immediate danger. They all are.
How many neighborhoods, Mark?
In total in there? I don't know. I know that there's 5 that we have evacuated. There are 2 that we have in pre-evacuation, but I don't know how many total there are in this area.
Is it too early to tell where it may have started and which way it spread?
Well, we had a deputy this morning who was the one who found it. He was doing patrol work in open open areas of Jeffco in there, and came across a fire that was about 10 foot by 10 foot. We know right where it started. And it, within an hour of that, it was at 50 acres.
Is it suspicious?
The investigation hasn't even begun yet, but I think anytime that you see a small fire in the middle of an area like that at 9 o'clock at night, it makes you scratch your head a little bit.
So just on that note, I spoke to a resident over at the school here who said that basically rumor was in the neighborhoods that over the last couple of years there were fires set, his words, by environmentalists who wanted to push wildfire issues. I'm curious if you have any evidence of past arsons in the area that are concerning, and if there is any sort of outreach for misinformation or otherwise that you guys are doing right now.
I know nothing of that history. I'm not saying that it's not in existence. Have not looked into that. I'm sure they will be digging into every fire that's been in this area for the past several years at least, but no knowledge of that.
Going back to the air support, how big of a win is it considering there are so many resources with those other fires? What did those logistics look like to be able to get the 4 helicopters in the plane here?
Well, I will tell you this morning, we were not that hopeful. Resources are very, very slim right now for fighting fire. We have 600 professional firefighters that live in Colorado that are out of state, that have deployed to other big fires in the country. And then we have 3 fires happen in Colorado, like Larimer and Boulder, and now this one. So resources are slim. And then you've got to compete for the air resources that are working the 2 larger fires than this. We feel very fortunate and are grateful for the air support. It will make all the difference in the world. As I said, this terrain is not conducive to ground fighting the fire. I don't know how successful we would be, even with all the great efforts these firefighters do in these conditions. It could have been a tough fight, and we're still in the woods. We still got a long way to go, but at least we have the hope that the fire retardant from a big tanker, that's 10,000 gallons a drop, and then 4 helicopters that are shooting to Chatfield back and forth. Hopefully that will really get us a leg up today.
So there is no contention lines. Nobody's putting it.
No, we don't have any numbers yet on containment. The 2 numbers that we're most excited about is that we have not lost a structure and we have not had a firefighter injured so far.
How do you expect the weather this afternoon and tonight is going to affect the
It doesn't help. 98 degrees never helps in a wildland firefight. The weather is just not, again, just like the terrain, the weather is not conducive to a ground fight either.
Do you think the resources are adequate now?
Air support is probably where we need to be. Ground support, no. We're fighting this fire with about 75 sets of boots on the ground. We would much rather have a couple hundred, but we have what we have, and they're really getting after it out there. But no, we're not where we want to be.
Will we be getting more, or is this what we have?
This is what we probably will have. It's just not there. And with the 2 other big fires we're fighting, we all got to share.
Has
I know you
anyone
said-
reached out to the governor's office about activating the National Guard's helicopter unit?
Not that I'm aware of. We got 4 helicopters here. I think we're probably where we need to be.
I know you said something about no firefighter injuries. We got some sort of word that a firefighter may have had a seizure of some sort. Is that?
Have not heard that.
Okay.
Have not heard that.
Are you
Carol?
doing retardant as well or just water?
The big tanker that we have is doing a $10,000 $10,000. The big tanker we have is doing a 10,000 gallon retardant drop, and the 4 helicopters are doing the water.
Mark, do you think that, I know that you said it would be hard to get help, but do you think it came because of the great risk to all the homes? Because of all the fires burning right now, it looks like this one is closest to the most homes in the state.
It could have played a contributing. It could have been a contributing factor. I don't know. There's a lot of different things that are considered with the different incident commanders and with the suppliers for the helicopters and the retardant planes as to where they need to put their efforts.
We did see some video from the air of some crews on the ground. Do you have some trying to fight the fire on the ground, like with shovels?
Oh yeah. We've got about 75 firefighters on the ground that are working this fire. But as I said when I started, that terrain is not conducive to a ground fight. It's not a fight you're going to win. We can make a dent, hopefully, but with only 75 sets of boots on the ground on that terrain, that's a tough fight, man.
Can you describe what they're trying to do? What we saw them was working some kind of, I don't know if it was axes or brush cutters, or what do they do?
They could be cutting fire line. They could be clearing debris. It all depends on what particular thing they were trying to accomplish in that particular area.
I know some people who live up here at the evacuation center, they were telling me that they're not surprised that a fire happened here because mitigation efforts are few and far between, and there's a lot of dead trees in the area. I guess I don't know if there are active ongoing mitigation efforts in debris. Do you know?
I do not know. That's out of our scope. I don't know what their plan is or how they go about that.
Mark, I saw Denver Fire staging at the school. Do you know what they're up to today?
I do not. Hopefully they're helping us fight this fire. I don't know.
Like that, yes.
Yeah, that would be great.
Are there folks that have been ordered to evacuate that haven't?
Absolutely. Always is. We cannot force them to evacuate their home. I will say this. If you are concerned, if you see heavy, thick smoke, if you see flames, you need to go. Don't wait on us to say your neighborhood is evacuated. You need to follow your heart and your gut and say, I don't feel safe here. This is not a good deal. I need to go. And also the same thing with your animals. You know, if you don't wait until the last minute to think about how you're going to get your, not just your dogs or cats, but if you have larger animals like I mentioned earlier with the Jeffco Fairgrounds, don't wait on that. Take care of yourself, your family, your animals, and hit the road if you're concerned.
Can you clarify which evacuation orders are in place for what neighborhoods?
If I can, it would be by memory. I may have it. Hold on. I do have it. It is Deer Creek Mesa, Sampson, that's Sampson, Maxwell, McKinney, and I believe that's it. There's one more. Murphy, sorry. Murphy's the last one. And then in pre-evac, we have Silver Ranch and Silver Ranch South. Now, I don't know how many homes the Silver Ranches have, but the 5 that are in mandatory evacuation, that is a total of about 575 homes.
If there are people who have refused to leave, have they self-reported to say that they're staying in their homes?
Not necessarily, and they're not obliged to. We go door to door, or also using the reverse 911, and we've been doing this for years, and we always have some residents that say, I'm not going. And you say, okay. And you just document that you knocked on the door, had the conversation, they refused to leave, and that's their call.
And if they call for help, then what happens?
It depends on where we're at and what we have going on. We will always try to help our citizens, no matter what the situation is. But if we are now miles away in a firefight, I don't know how quickly we can get back there. It all depends. Anything else?
Will you be doing another briefing this afternoon?
This depends on how successful we are in the next couple of 3 hours. We will tweet out where we're at. I would love to say that no, we won't need to, but we just don't know.
And if I could make an ask out loud, if you do something around 4 o'clock, that would be so beneficial for getting information out live on our newscast.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm just asking.
No, and I think that's fair. It will probably take that long for us to be able to measure where we're at.
And will it be right here?
Yes.
And is there a command post where you guys are set up that we could stay close to kind of stay close to you and get the latest information should something happen?
We're at our south precinct, but to be honest with you folks, there is no room for you in your vehicles. That's why we came back out here again to do the press conferences here, because I just can't house you in the parking lot.
You think it'll be here?
It will be here if we do it.
Obviously, I'm walking in with no context, so excuse me, and I'll let everybody go. Initially, looking at the start of this, and you might have spoken this already, it sounded a little pessimistic. Concerned with the challenges we're going to have.
We're feeling better about this, absolutely. You can't help but feel better from where we were this morning to have helicopters like that flying over our head. And that, I can't tell if that's a tanker or not without my glasses. Yeah, I mean, this morning, and still for the firefighters on the ground, it's concerning. It's not a fight that you want. The terrain just is not conducive. But with the help of that air support, we could be in a whole different situation this evening or this afternoon. Even with the 98-degree temperature, it could really, really help.
And forgive me if I've asked this already or if you've already said it. How close is the fire to a home at this point? What's the closest distance?
We don't know. I don't know. I don't have that information. We have, we've evacuated 5, but we haven't lost any, and we are still not necessarily in an all-out structure protection effort. We have been working on some of the structures and the vegetation around them. I think we even just posted a picture on one of our social media accounts with that. But right now we are still in a fire suppression overall effort.
You're spraying water on them or around the homes. Is that what you're saying?
No, we're digging and removing vegetation. We don't take a water hose and spray
So
around there.
mitigation around those homes.
I'm sorry?
Mitigation around those homes.
Correct.
Do you know, was there a hiking trail near where the deputy spotted the fire?
I think there are a number of hiking trails up there. I don't believe there's any camping areas, but there are hiking trails.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, can I just add something? Just so you know, they described for me that there are areas where firefighters would have to hike in about 2 miles to get to the fire on foot. So that's the additional challenge because it's like this and it's like this. And if there's Sure. I needed a moment. I just wanted to let you know that the way that it was described to us, some of these firefighters would literally have to hike in a couple of miles to get to some of the areas where the fire is, and that's very, very difficult terrain. So it's canyon lands back in there, and it doesn't look so much like that from this view, but it is. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that there's a threat assessment that's done on each of these fires. And we could have another fire today somewhere. And so our incident commanders and our teams put together all of the facts about how close it is to structures, how close it is to things that we really need to protect. And so based on our threat assessment, we started getting some air support. So we do feel beyond fortunate that we hear that aircraft overhead.